Okay, so it seems like we have a little bit of an update on the whole Phase Connect kind of cosplayer situation, which involved another person that you guys may know being Rev. Now, if you guys don't remember, in the last video, essentially we covered this post, which has been kind of making the rounds in the VTubing space, covering a particular cosplayer in the VTubing kind of space, particularly Phase Connect, being a Gumbun, who does a lot of cosplays for Phase Connect and, you know, has worked with them. As you guys have seen here, she's worked with them in Offkai, obviously in June of 2025, and has been very, very close with the company, right? And a lot of people have been kind of questioning whether, you know, this is someone that they really want to stick around their company and whatever, due to the fact of this one post here, where it seems like they have been following around and taking pictures of a random person at a convention with a Rev shirt on. Now, I don't know if this was Gumbun themselves taking this picture, or if this was, you know, someone else and, you know, got sent to her, or she found it or whatever somewhere and put it in the chat. But either way, I do think it is extremely weird to be showing this kind of content, right? Especially being a cosplayer herself, and also someone who staffs at conventions. This is someone that is supposed to protect the people at the conventions, but is actively engaging in harassment towards a person, which I think is absolutely horrible, right? And again, I think it is so weird that someone would go around and do this just because of a content creator that they don't like, with them also making the statement of seeing a guy with a Rev Happy Mega Fest was like 15 9/11s, which I think is crazy. That is a crazy thing to say. And of course, you know, I don't think seeing your least favorite content creator on a you know, piece of clothing is worse than a bunch of people dying in a terrorist attack. Like, let's be real, let's be honest, you know, it's not that bad. And obviously, yeah, of course, you don't have to like Rev, you don't have to like his content, you don't have to like anybody that, you know, people wear merch of, but it doesn't mean that it gives you an open pass to go around and follow them around a convention and take pictures of them without them knowing, right? Because of course, being a VTuber cosplayer themselves, they would know all about the kind of creeps and harassment and stuff that a lot of cosplayers and people at conventions get, and even being a staff there as well, you would know about all of the things that creators and cosplayers and whatever get with creepy people following them around conventions, taking pictures of them, right? But for some reason, they're engaging in this kind of behavior, and apparently it's okay because obviously this isn't a creator, this isn't someone who is a cosplayer or whatever, it's just a person wearing some Rev kind of clothing, which I think is absolutely, you know, ridiculous, right? That they've decided, oh, you know, it's totally okay for me to go around and follow them around a convention, right? Let's be real. It's terrible. You shouldn't be doing this, right? But I did come across a couple of clips to do with Pippa talking about FazeCon, which is coming up. Now, a lot of people have cancelled their FazeCon kind of tickets and stuff over the recent drama that went on with the whole Jelly stuff and the Clara stuff. But again, obviously, she has been talking about the fact of what to do whenever you're at a convention in terms of taking photos. And I did find it kind of interesting because, you know, I would hedge, you know, I'd hedge a guess at saying that Gumbun would be attending FazeCon. Now, I don't know if that's 100% true. Of course, you know, they might not be, but considering their kind of close, you know, nature with Phase Connect, you know, I would say it's a pretty, you know, solid guess to say that they would be attending, but maybe not, you know, but I do think it is still funny that, you know, Pippa is talking about this, and I do like Pippa, by the way. I don't think Pippa's done anything wrong, obviously, but I do think it is funny, you know, looking at this clip of her talking about etiquette with taking photos, and then obviously the kind of actions of a Phase affiliated cosplayer, right? So here is the clip.
Well, I have like a final bit of advice for any VTubers that are going to the convention. Any VTubers that might be going to FazeCon, I don't think you should post until after the con, like any like selfies and stuff. Don't do that. Don't like take selfies and stuff at the con. Because like I don't think anything bad is gonna happen to you or whatever, but like you might be filmed or something without realizing it. It's just like an OPSEC thing. It's just like an OPSEC thing. So just be careful. Just be careful. Because it's a convention for Phase Connect viewers. Offkai is in like a weird spot where a lot of VTubers themselves go. Same thing with TwitchCon. A lot of streamers themselves go to TwitchCon. But FazeCon is like for the fans. Specifically. Oh yeah, also if you're a VTuber, don't get a hotel room in the official convention block. I think you should get an Airbnb. I've heard multiple stories of VTubers getting recognized like because of their voice and stuff while they're just like in their hotel rooms, or like they go to their hotel room, and I've had to like escort people. It sounds really bad, but I've had to like escort people to and from their rooms because they didn't know like if they would be followed or not to their room. So I was like keeping keeping watch for them. So don't get a hotel room in the convention center. Like, I think FaZe Connect fans are, you hired a what? Now, I didn't hire an escort. I was like a bodyguard. Not really bodyguard, but I was like a watchman. I don't think FaZe Connect fans would do anything. But you never know, like, who else is gonna show up to the con, right? There might be people where they're just like fans of VTubers in general, and they show up and they, like, who knows, you know? So don't get a hotel room in the hotel. Like, that's my personal request to you. I know it might be cumbersome, but I really think you should keep that distance. Better safe than sorry, yeah.
So obviously, yeah, that's a lot of what she's saying about FaZeCon and being careful if you're a VTuber attending, which again is 100% true. I think that obviously Pippa is correct in terms of saying that, hey, you know, be careful with pictures and things. Don't post it till after the con because again, you can get followed around. Obviously, people will take pictures of you without you knowing, and of course, it can be a bit of an issue. And of course, as well, she goes on to talk about hotels, which is a little bit of like a side point. You know, doesn't really kind of add up to the situation that we're talking about, but I think it's still good advice to not get a hotel room at the convention center because there's a lot of weirdos, right? And it does kind of contribute to this kind of big thing of there is a lot of weirdos in the space, right? And I think it is, you know, not a big thing to hide. There is always a situation, usually with a con, whether it's Off-Kai, whether it's Anime Expo, whether it's even like Comic-Con, right? It doesn't even necessarily have to be anime or VTuber orientated. There's always going to be weirdos who are going to try and follow people around, whether they are a VTuber, whether they are a content creator, whether they are a cosplayer, right? And it is always going to be an issue of there being creepy people. But obviously, what doesn't help this is situations like this, where you've literally got convention staff, and not saying that they're staff at FaZeCon, by the way. I'm sure they've hired the correct people, right? But you know, you've literally got people who staff conventions and also partake in being cosplayers, partaking in this kind of behavior of either spreading or even taking, again, as I said, I don't know if they've taken it, but at a very minimum, they've spread an image of someone being followed and essentially harassed within a convention center, right? And I think that is kind of worrying for someone that could be attending FaZeCon in the future. And obviously, a lot of people have been calling that out, right? Due to the close affiliations, and also as well, you know, you got some people pointing out the fact that there's been some FaZe Connect members also, you know, typing in these kind of like screenshots and stuff, including Amy, who obviously has been talking about it. But to be honest, I don't think they've really, you know, said too much to really warrant anything bad. You know, obviously Gumbun is the one that is saying stuff like, you know, it was like 15911s, but Amy's just saying stuff like a dev happy, and then they went, oh, that's what you mean, are you kidding me? And that's about it, right? They haven't really said anything crazy, and they haven't been the one following them around. But of course, you know, interacting with the FaZe Connect members in this kind of way probably doesn't look very good for them at the moment, especially considering all of the FaZe Connect drama and backlash that they've been getting recently. I'm sure Sakana isn't probably the most pleased about this happening, and them, you know, obviously interacting, and obviously this going on with Gumbun at the time, right? And obviously this follows tweets from her as well saying, guys, can we all be like, you know, helpful and kind and whatever, you know, during this whole drama thing that was going on with them. And I think it is kind of ironic that they're saying that and then actively going around and harassing people just because of something that they like, right? And of course, as I said before, you know, Rev is a controversial figure, that's 100% sure. But it is always like one kind of, you know, group of people that always do this kind of stuff. And it never seems to be the Rev fans. I don't think I've ever seen a Rev fan or, you know, people who, you know, are on that kind of opinion and side of things kind of do this stuff, right? It's always like the other way around, which I think is obviously a thing that a lot of people have kind of been noticing as well. And there's been multiple pictures taken of this person too, with them wearing this. This isn't the only one that I've seen, at least on Twitter. I can't find the other pictures, but again, there's been some of people like taking it from far away, and I think even then that is less creepy than what is going on here. Because sure, if you want to take a like, if someone takes a picture of someone from far away, you know, it's kind of like whatever, but also it's a bit weird just because they're wearing a certain kind of merch. But like this person, as you can see, they are walking, you know, they're clearly 1 foot, you know, in front of the other walking, and there's someone behind them, you know, walking behind them, like pretty closely behind them with a camera being like, oh yeah, you know, we're getting a photo of this one. And again, I don't know if that's Gumbun, I don't know if that's someone else that sent it to them, but again, I do think it is incredibly odd and incredibly weird, as we said in the previous video. And of course, as I said, you got stuff like FaceCon coming up. Is this person also going to be at FaceCon? Is this person going to be doing the same thing at FaceCon for content creators that they don't like? Because obviously we have people like Legal Mindset here saying, for example, you know, cons usually have permission to, you know, photograph, which would generally immunize staff, but even recognizing that this type of behavior leads to stalking / harassment. I've seen multiple photos / angles of the same guy. If it's all the same photographer, it would bolster that angle, right? And people said, you know, here, like there's a reply saying, if anyone continues to photograph or record you against your will, it will be treated as harassment. See above, which is in the code of conduct of the actual convention. Obviously, Legal Mindset says, yeah, it looks like the terms expressly prohibit staff harassment as well, which this appears to constitute. And obviously they say, if someone plans to use their position to enable stalking / harassment, they shouldn't be hired. And they said, yeah, agreed. And they said, isn't that usually permission to photograph for promotion purposes, which seems a bit different from repeatedly sharing online for harassment? They said, yes, there are usually some limitations on it, and sharing the express purpose for online harassment would likely breach those terms. So, of course, yeah, there is like a lot more information coming out regarding this as well. And I do think it is, as I said, very odd behavior, very, very weird. And of course, I feel like, you know, whenever it comes to Phase Connect and their involvement with it, and with their convention coming up, I feel like maybe they should, you know, kind of take some action here, because, you know, they're already not in people's good books. This is definitely not going to help them out with Gumbun being so closely affiliated with them. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if they do take any action. Now, obviously, I've always said in my videos, it's cringe to kind of go after a company or go after like a talent agency or whatever, you know, to say that, hey, you know, you should remove this person. And I'm not saying that they necessarily should, but I do think they should do their own investigation into this and look into it and decide for themselves whether they should or should not remove Gumbun from a lot of their affiliated kind of collabs and events and things like that, because of course it does draw an issue for them. So again, as I said, it is completely up to them. I'm not necessarily calling for Gumbun to be removed, but I do think it is something that Phase Connect should look into, right? It is something that they should look into and kind of, yeah, look at, especially considering that this was in a chat with other members as well, which obviously doesn't look very good on them. But again, as I said, this was a very interesting situation overall. I'll keep you guys up to date if there's anything else that comes out, either from Rev or someone else that has actually responded. Rev's wife did actually respond to this, saying, you know, obviously it's weird and, you know, you shouldn't be doing this, you know, and obviously it's going to be a matter of time probably until Rev covers it as well, because again, it is targeting some of his own fans. And as I said, you don't have to like him, but you know, it's very, very odd to follow someone around a convention just for wearing something, when, you know, people that are obviously very involved with stuff like cosplayers get harassed like this all of the time too, and you know, they, for some reason, it doesn't count whenever it's a fan. It's so weird. But yeah, that's about all I got for this video. If you guys did enjoy it, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSubs, use my code Kazza, get 10% off again. They got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.